Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. So I'm gonna work a little bit more on our bag journal. We're gonna stitch these signatures in today. So I think in the last one, we added a bunch of the trim and stuff. We decided where we were gonna put it. I've sewn those all on. And so now we have to stitch these in, and then we can get going on some other fun stuff. So I decided to go with this embroidery thread because I think it matches really well. It's got pinks and purples and some of the teal and some green. So I think that'll look really nice to stitch these in. So that's what we're gonna do. So first off, we need to get some holes punched in here. And so let's set these off to the side, leaving them like that. And we have our guide that we made earlier. So we're gonna put that on here to make our holes. And I was still contemplating if I wanted to leave this on. I think we're gonna cut it off and then we're gonna use it as a pocket someplace else. So let's get that taken care of. Let's see, I hope these are good sharp scissors. They are not good sharp scissors. Where's the, these should be sharper. Okay. So we're just gonna cut this, not any sharper. Love it. Okay, that's fine. So this is gonna be kind of a little bit raggedy and tatty on the edge here. I don't mind, I don't care. So I think in this video today, I'll probably, I don't know, I might end up having to fast forward some stuff or do some cuts and stuff so it doesn't get too terribly long, but it might be a little bit of a challenge to get these all in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip this on here so we have our guide, making sure it's all lined up appropriately. And I'm gonna get a couple binder clips quick. So that we have our spot for all of our holes, and we're also going to then use this as our guide for putting our holes in the signatures themselves. This is a little bit different than the way I do other ones that I think I've shown some videos on, because it's so much bigger, thicker. I think that is well lined up. And if it's not perfect, it's still going to be fine. All right, so next step. Did I grab my pad? No. So this is just like foam packaging. It kind of has a little bit of a hard back, but it's got this nice foam that is great for punching holes into these. And then I'm going to take an awl, and we're just going to make holes going straight down in each one of these intersections that we marked already. So that's where we're at with this. So we're just punching those holes for all these signatures. Nice big holes. So I hope your summer is going well. I'll just chat a bit while we're doing this. Kind of like a chat and craft along today a little. If you're working on some other projects. That line is not perfect, but it'll be fine. So my son and I have been camping in the yard the last couple of nights. He's loving it. He loves camping, and I want to get him more used to being in tents and things like that. He loves it. He sleeps so good when we're outside. So I'm like, okay, but that also means I have to stay out there with him because he's only 4. So if he wants to do it, I kind of have to too. I do have to get something a little bit better to sleep on because it's a little bit hard on my back. but we have fun. I sleep pretty good outside too, so there we go. All right, so we got those punched. Now we're gonna leave this there for a minute. Leave our guide on as long as possible here. And now we're gonna get our signatures ready to go. I think I have them in the correct order. I should have double checked that prior to this. I think we'll just go with how they are. I think it'll be fine regardless. So we got all of these. So we're just gonna, I think I'll start from the back and come forward. That might be the easiest way to put these in. So let's start with the back one. And I've got some giant clippers. These giant paper clips, these jumbo paper clips, I think work fantastic for doing your signatures. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make sure that all of my papers are centered where I want them to be. So they should be fine, but let's just double check really quick and make sure. And how I do that is I take the center one, and then, yeah, that's gonna be, these are turning out so nice. I'm so happy, and you're gonna kind of get to see. So I'm kind of centering these, making sure they're lined up where I want them to be. I think they probably would have been fine. I didn't need to do this, but you can see how I'm making sure that everything is lining up the way that I want it. Making sure everything is mostly centered. Here's one of those pages that we added some extra reinforcement to, since the paper itself is a little bit fragile. So you kind of get to see a few of those things too. And we're still staying pretty centered. So let's see here. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Probably being a little bit more fiddle. Didn't that turn out nice? Fabric flip there. Let's get these on. So the day that I'm recording this, it's the end of June. Been getting ready to have some friends come out for July 4th. I'm excited for. Do some tubing on the river, grill out, have some people camping in the yard. It'll be fun. All right, almost to the end here. All right, this is the last one. All right, so those are all nice and tight. And now I'm gonna find that center, just there. And we wanna make sure that these are all, the papers are pushed really tight together. So I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm pushing down to make sure that they're all seated really well together. So holding firmly, and then, and I know that paper's probably gonna tear there a little, but that's okay. So they're different sizes, so we're gonna try and get everybody in here, keeping this nice and tight. And I want it angled because that's gonna keep our pages where they're supposed to be. There's the second one. Missed the outside here. It's a bit fiddly. I guess I could have prepped this a little bit, but it's kind of good to see, I think, the whole process. So you can see, even when you've been doing this for a while, you keep learning new little things, and or do something a little different that you realize works a little bit better. So the more you do this, the easier it will get. So there we go. Okay, so those are all in there. Now I'm just making sure, I'm just squeezing this down tight to make sure it's good to go. Now we have to mark where our spots are going to be. So I'm going to take this off here, and we're going to use this as our guide. They all are on the same line, so I'm going to take this and fold it in its center, and I'm going to put it through here, right in the middle, so that it looks like it's pretty well lined up with everything. I'm just double checking to make sure it is where I want it to be. I think that should be good. As long as it's centered or closely centered, should be all right. So this is also normally where I would use my book trough, but I didn't grab it down, so that's on me. So if you don't have one, that's fine. We're just gonna do it this way. So I'm gonna keep holding this at this angle, and we're gonna poke holes straight down into the middle of the signature. You can clip this or tape it or whatever you need to do to hold it in place. I'm used to doing it, so it's not a big deal for me to kind of hold things like that. Okay, so we have those done. I'm gonna leave this closed slightly. Here is the thread that we're gonna use. And I think we'll double it. Oops, hit my light. We'll double it. I like this variegated. I love variegated threads in general too. So let's just, we're gonna hopefully have enough for this whole thing. I think doubling it is probably gonna be best because it's gonna be holding a lot. So you need about 3 times the length. So let's see. So that's 1, 2, 3. And I give myself a little extra just in case. And then I'm gonna cut that. And then we are going to stitch them. And hopefully I have my needle is big enough for this. I have a little bit of a tickle in my throat today. Probably from sleeping out in the tent the last couple of days. One day it got a little cool. And then last night it rained a bunch, which is good because we just got this tent. It's just a little pop-up 2-person tent just for fun for my son and I to kind of camp in around here. But it was a good challenge to see if it would keep us dry, especially last night when it started raining. And it did. So that works. Okay, so we're gonna have the ties be on the inside, not on the outside. I think that's what we'll do. So I'm going in here. So starting that there, leaving myself some space. So I saw this trick that somebody else does. I generally don't need to do this, but if it's helpful for you, it might be good. So clipping something onto your thread so that it'll have a stopping point in case you start pulling it too far. I normally don't do that, but I just thought I would show you that trick. So now I'm going to move this off to the side because it's kind of in the way. And we're going to go ahead and stitch this in. So I'm going to be on this set because we're working from the back forward and through that hole there. And then pulling that up. So pulling those threads through. So it's pretty good. We can tighten it in a minute. Now, finding this next hole is going to be a little trickier because of the fabric. So sometimes it's helpful to have your awl handy to push through that hole a little bit again so you can see where it's coming out. So then once you make that hole again, you can go ahead and stick your needle back through that hole without making a new one. All right, so then that goes in there. That tail's a little long here. Let's shorten our tail. Okay. Now we're gonna go back through this hole here in our signature, going through all the papers, and this kind of wiggled a little, it looks like, but that's all right. We'll get it. I am a little shaky this morning too. That doesn't help. All right, that went right through. Perfect. Pull that through and across the middle and down to the bottom. And if it doesn't want to go through easy, you just need to kind of wiggle it. And there, see, now it went through, no big deal. Right through our hole. Tidy our strings a little. Okay, last hole down. And then up through the back. Now, this is the point where if you wanted to, you could put some beads on here. You could put some beads on these signatures, on the ties that you have. So you could put some beads on here right now if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that with this one because it's so thick that I'm worried that it'll put a little bit too much tension on there. Would it really? Probably not. It'd probably be fine. But it's just one of those things that I'm a little careful of. All right, so now we want to try and go back down in that same hole that we used before. So I'm going to wiggle, and you don't want to cross your thread. So a blunt tip needle works best. I just don't happen to have any, because blunt tip needles are easier or less likely to go through your threads, I think. So I'm kind of pulling this, wiggling it a little bit to get that hole nice. Pull them off to the side. Man, I am shaky today. Hopefully you guys aren't like, oh my gosh, Nancy, just get it in there. There we go. I think it's good. Are we through our threads? A little bit. So I see it's crossed over one of them. I don't want that. Okay, I think we're good now. The reason you don't want to catch any of your threads in between is it makes it difficult to tighten your strings. So there is actually a reason. And then back through here again, into the center. Maybe. I guess I should have made my holes a little bit bigger. I will make sure that I fix that on the next one. Okay, so we want to go in there, and I don't want to catch those. So I'm kind of pulling this up and off to the side a little bit. And then pull this with my thumb too. Put some tension on the thread to kind of pull it off to the side as I'm going back in this signature. That should not be that difficult. What's going on? What's going on? Can see this can be a little bit fiddly, especially with big books like this. But we can do it. We can do it. I think it doesn't want to go through everything easily. So I'm just making my hole a little bigger. See if that helps. And it does. Amazing. Excuse me. Okay. All right, now we're gonna tighten this a little bit. So I'm gonna take this off here. And we're gonna pull. Oh, see, that was through there. But that's okay because we pulled it through, so it's okay. So we'll fix that. Cool. Sorted. All right. I have plenty of string. All right, so we want to have this pretty tight, but not super duper tight. One of these is going to go under, one is going to go over, and now we're going to pull, pull, pull. Bring this in. And keep tightening a little bit. I might bring it on this side so I can get it done, because this is like holding it up a little bit. All right, so let's get this one tightened. Okay, and then this one a little. Oh, see, I did cross that one too. At least when this is happening, we can see where it's gone through our thread. So I'm glad I'm making mistakes to show you how to fix them. There we go. Okay, so that's in and fairly firm. We want it to have a little bit of give since it is so large, and I want to tuck this back under this. So one on each side of this middle thread. There we go. Okay, let's double check the back, make sure that we don't have any loose bits. Okay, that all looks good. All right, perfect. And like I said, I want it to have a little bit of give. Let's see how much we got. So see how it wiggles a little bit? That's about as much as I would like. And then when we tie it here too, it's gonna tighten a little, but we don't want it overly tight. Otherwise it'll start tearing our pages. Okay, and now we're just making a knot. Like so. I'm pulling that firmly. You can put a little bit of glue on your knots too if you're worried, but I honestly have never had an issue. So here's those strings. They're quite long. I think we'll cut them a little bit later just in case we want to add some charms or do something in the middle here. So I'm just going to tuck them inside. We're going to pull these off and go on to the next one. So the first one is always the trickiest, and then you can get into your groove if you're doing a bunch of these. Okay, so that one's ready to go. So that one's in, and you can see it's laying pretty flat. It's going to be a little bit weird because of this back pocket, because this is kind of bulky on this side. Yours may not be like that if you're doing one of these. Just kind of one of those things. So I haven't made one specifically like this before. So here we go. And I think our pages are all set. I'm not going to fiddle around with it like I did the other one. I'm just going to go ahead and get this tight because they look like they're all pretty good. And some people, and even me sometimes, I don't clip everything. I'm just kind of, because I'm so used to doing it, but I want to show you guys how this goes so that you can see some extra ways to get things nice and sturdy. And if you have binder clips and not these jumbo ones, they work just as good. Because it holds in the center more, that's why I like them. All right, so here is this, and we want to get it mostly centered so it's even. And then we're gonna go ahead and punch. Scooch this, scooch this. All right, so straight down, and then our last one, straight down. And you know what I am going to do? I'm going to make these holes a little bit larger to make it easier on us. So I'm going to push my awl in a little bit more. So I'm just making a little bit bigger hole. Some people like to use a punch for this. Up to you, your preference, your choice. Okay, that is set. Now we'll go on to stitching. Also double check the orientation of them before you stitch them in. I have made that mistake before where I have sewn a signature in upside down. And I was like, oh, are you serious? So we don't need quite as much thread as we did the last time, but we're still gonna double it. So 1, 2, 3. Because that was a little excessive. So hopefully this will be enough. Sometimes I like having that extra for a just in case kind of a situation. All right, thread our needle. I don't need that long of a tail. Short tail. Okay, same thing. Center. And center. Okay, and top. Now this is where we need to see what we're doing. Okay, so you can see where that's coming out there. Like so. So as I pull this out, then I have a hole that I can go through. Perfect, goes right in. And look at what I did. Good job, me. Okay, so. See that clip? Should have done it. Should have done it. Let's see if we can get that back in. So let's try. Since we got those two, let's try it this way. Look at my thread. Sorry. Come on, friendo. Get in there. See? Mistakes at work. All right. Okay, so that is back on there. Now let's put a clip on here just to be safe. Okay. It's all right. Learning curve. We got her. All right, I'm gonna go back to this, put this back on our thread. So anyway, I was talking about the cute little tent that I got. It's like one of those spring-loaded kind of dealy bobs. I thought it would be much easier to put up and not have to worry about stuff, and I was right. You basically just pull it out of the bag and give it a toss and it pops up on its own. It's kind of cool. And then just stake it down. It was pretty fun. Pretty easy to use. And surprisingly, it's kind of like one of those tents inside a tent. So it's got like kind of a mesh tent on the inside. And holds the heat in really well. I was pretty warm in there a couple of the nights. I did a good job keeping the rain off, though, I have to say. Okay, so that's there. Now, bringing this one in the middle. Hopefully we won't catch those threads this time. Nice big hole there, perfect. And then we get this right in there. Ooh, I think it went through the thread though. Nope, I think it's okay. All right, and we're back through the middle. Like so. All right. So take that off. And see how the first one does take a little bit longer, and then it gets better, it gets easier, you get faster at it. Yep, it did cross there. That's okay. We know what we need to do for that, don't we? We'll just pull it out. Ta-da! Easy peasy. Okay, so same thing. We want to make sure we have a little bit of give, but that's a little bit too much. So we're going to make sure it's a little bit tighter yet. And one of these needs to go under here. So we want one on each side. And I'm going to take these off. Oop, catching on this fabric. There we go. Okay. All right, make sure we have a little bit of give. So I'm just giving it a little wiggle to loosen it just ever so much. Okay. And now we're going to tie it the same as before. It's just a square knot. Okay, dunzos. There we go. That was the right, more of an appropriate amount of thread there. Okay. That one might have gotten a little tighter than I wanted. Let's see. Yeah, but it's okay. It'll be fine. Yeah, that one's a little tight. A little tighter than I wanted. This is going to be a fun book to work in, though. It might be a little bit challenging because it's so thick, too. Since it is so big, that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure it's a little bit looser, but it'll be okay. All right. So now you know what you need to do. We're going to move on. I think I'll either fast forward now through the rest of this, or we'll cut it here and we'll pick up later. So either one. Not sure yet. Well, usually I decide that when I'm editing. All right, I think these papers are all good to go. Okay, so we fast forwarded a bunch through, and I am actually re-recording part of this because when I went in to start looking through and editing and everything, my video ended after I sewed in this signature. So we got this one sewn in, then I got this one sewn in. I had just enough thread to make it work. This one actually might be a little loose. We'll check on it later. So you guys missed a fun mistake. This signature was in upside down. Was in upside down because this middle piece of paper was upside down. So when I went to put it in, this whole thing was upside down, except for one piece of paper. So I had to, this is why, and I had cut it short knowing that I only had so much left for the next one. So I very carefully had to untie that and fix this so it was facing the right direction. So remember what I was talking about? Check your stuff. Well, there you go. That was exactly what happened. Unfortunately, I didn't have it filmed because my camera had stopped recording. So anyway, we have our 7 signatures in this. See how this looks? I love that. It's so pretty. And so we can still tie some things onto here if we'd like. put some charms on, things like that. I do realize I forgot to do my one thing that I normally do on these guys is add a spot to put book charms. So we might be able to sneak one in later, maybe not. But I also thought since this is gonna have a handle and stuff, maybe we won't do that, but I feel like we should. So that might be something we do later on. So here we go, just showing off a little bit. So here's what it's gonna look like as we keep going. So this, you know, if the spine is flat on your desk, this is gonna be fun to work in. I'm actually really excited to work in this book and start doing some all out decorating and embellishing and really have fun with this really gorgeous, like it is. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So we're gonna have some really fun times in here showing you how to do some techniques, working on some gorgeous things, adding more textures and techniques. So yeah, this will be the book we keep working in for that stuff. And here's one of those, we made that into a pocket. So we might just start going through and figuring out some stuff. Now would be the time where you can make some suggestions as the different types of things we want to start doing in here. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you would like to see me do. We're definitely going to be adding some pockets. We're going to be adding stickers for sure. We're going to be doing some texture stuff. We got lots of room to work, lots of fun stuff in here. This is a hefty journal, so we're going to have lots of room to do some stuff in. I don't know what I'm going to do with this when it's all done either. So we've got places we can add charms. We got all kinds of stuff to do in here. So please, please, please give me some ideas as to what we want to do. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to decorate this because this is not good. We don't like this. It's plain green. This is pretty, of course, this paper. We might line something in here. Maybe this will be one of the first things we do is work on this pocket. And we're going to jump around in this and I'll show you some techniques on how to work in something this big and how to do it. We might also need to make our master board for this fun little lady. So there you go. And then she's gonna need a name. We're gonna need to name her something. So keep that in mind too. She's definitely gonna need a name, something we can refer to her as other than just the bag journal. So think about that too. So that's what we got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it made sense. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. This has been a lot of fun. It definitely took me about an hour to get these all stitched in, roughly. Of course, that was some of it was camera time, so and getting started takes a little bit longer than if I was just sitting and doing it here myself. So, but I have you guys to keep me company. So I hope you guys are having fun on your bag journal journey. And yeah, don't forget, art with your heart. You never know what you can make. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.